What if you were to ask, what is the world's favorite hot beverage? Better yet, what if you were to ask each country what their preference is for either tea or coffee? What if you sat down each person and gave them a choice, a hot cup of tea or a hot cup of coffee, and they only get one choice, that's it for the day? What if you were to quantify that and lay it out as a percentage for the country? What would that look like? Well, some people did just that, and they gave us some pretty interesting info. So let's take a look. So here's our planet. That is where everybody lives. But let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so here's all the countries. It's a map. We're missing some information, obviously, but what's really going on here? Well, let's take a look at a color scale. We've got our deep green representing coffee and our deep red representing tea. So now that we've got a bit of a color scale, let's go back to that map. So tea originated here in China, somewhere on the border between China and Myanmar. And unsurprisingly, China absolutely adores tea. China loves tea, India loves tea, Pakistan loves tea, all the way through Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, absolutely loves tea. Going south, we have Indonesia, they love tea. We've got the islands here, they love tea. And something kind of interesting here is that Australia, now they like tea, obviously they're a little pink, but they're not as red as those other countries surrounding them, and that's probably because, they're offshoot of England and the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom is definitely somewhat of a middle ground. The middle ground there is that, they also have a preference for tea, and Ireland quite likes tea. But then we're gonna kind of look here. So we've noticed that, tea originates here, and they love tea. But what's a bit different is that coffee originated in Yemen. So that would be in the Arabian Peninsula. And it looks like we don't have, as much enthusiasm for coffee as you think. In fact, they kind of prefer tea. But Africa is a little checkered here between tea and coffee preference. But once we get to Central, Eastern, and Western Europe, that tea preference definitely starts sliding into a coffee preference, with, the most pro coffee countries being, all of Scandinavia. Italy, we definitely think of a coffee country. Spain, Portugal, huge coffee countries. And we continue over to the Americas, and almost top to bottom, we have a preference for coffee. Now, Canada has a bit more tea preference, and that might be just due to their closer connections with the United Kingdom. And the United States definitely prefers their coffee, but they'll have a cup of tea. But then we get down to Mexico and Central America and get down to South America, and it looks like they are deep, passionate coffee drinkers. What's interesting though is we have Chile and Argentina here who are actually kind of favoring tea. Now, that might be interesting because that could be mate, that might just be normal tea. I couldn't explain that phenomenon, but kind of interesting. So now let's look at the actual percentages, the numbers. The tea consumption percent versus the coffee consumption percent. We're going to be looking at the extremes. We have Uzbekistan in the deep blue, meaning that 99.6 of all hot beverages consumed are tea. Let's look at the exact opposite of Uzbekistan. We've got Guatemala, where 99.6 of all hot beverages consumed are coffee. But what if we want a middle ground? What if we want something in the middle? We've got the rest of the world between them, but what if we wanted to go to a country where it's almost 50-50? Well, we're going to be looking at Australia, Estonia, and Poland here. But out of those three, Australia ranks as the most even between all of them, where, it might be day to day. You could get half a cup of coffee, half a cup of tea. Doesn't sound great to me, but that's what you could find. So Australia is the winner in terms of the absolute median. So there it is, everyone. Australia, the perfect middle ground country in the tea versus coffee debate. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. I sure enjoyed making it. Feel free to subscribe to Maps on the Horizon. Feel free to like, share with friends. More content to come. I've included the references for where I got this information in the video description. It's always nice to be acknowledged for all the work that they've done. And see you soon. Thanks.